going.
Thank you for joining us here on Cocktails and Curveballs. I'll be your host today. My name is Patrick. We'll get to Ty and Jim. We're missing one of our panelists, Lee. He's going to be MIA today. Got some stuff that he's got to do, but we're going to get down to the show. We got a lot of good stuff to cover. Like always, I want to give a heartfelt thank you to all the men and women serving in our armed forces, past and present, home and abroad. Thank you very much for defending all the freedoms we all enjoy every single day of our lives. Also want to give a big shout out to the first responders in this country for doing a job that not a lot of us care to do. So thank you for that. I am drinking one of my favorites, apricot Hefeweizen. Yeah, came out of ribbon about my Hefeweizens on here. But it's from Wasatch Brewery. Good beer. Very drinkable. That's what I'm enjoying today. I'm a little bit hungover, so if my vocabulary is a little amiss, that's what it derives from. That being said, Jim, why don't you tell everybody what you're drinking and you talk about what might be going on, next.
Back to just the old reliable Coors Light. Mountains are blue, ice cold. Nothing, just called into work, but working, drinking,
Nice.
waiting for a nice long weekend coming
There
up.
you go. Labor Day's coming. How about you, Ty?
Oh man, I'm you know me.
Oh, there we go.
Let bygones be bygones.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Old trusty.
And a song that I had heard a couple months ago that's now on the radio that I think is so fitting of this podcast, and I know you're not feeling so hot today. Have you guys heard Truck Bed by Hardy?
Yeah.
I don't think I have.
Well, for anybody that's listening that hasn't heard it, oh my God, go play that.
Really?
Yeah, it rocks.
Great song.
It's a great song. Yeah, if that doesn't epitomize this show, then fuck, dude, I don't know what song would. So
well, I also have a little bit of ice cold water here too. I'm trying to stay hydrated. It was I ain't gonna lie to anybody. I got a little wrecked last night. Well, actually, I can say I got a little wrecked this morning because I was drinking till 4:30. So there's that. That being said, let's dive into it. What do we got today, guys? Ty, you got anything?
Yeah, I was so the documentary that the world has been waiting for, I feel like, is the Florida Gators, the Tim Tebow Florida Gators. From like 05 to 08-ish, kind of that group, maybe 9, 10, that group of guys that had, it's been so publicly, like, just everybody knows kind of what went on with that team, right? Like with there's so many arrests.
And just to be clear, that was kind of when they were dominating college football, correct? Isn't that?
They were. Yeah. But they were coming off of, those years of Florida football were coming off of down years by Florida football standards.
Okay.
But everybody wanted this documentary, right? There were guys on this team, like Tim Tebow, right? Saint Tim was on this team. So
that's what you think about when you talk about those years. That's the first name that comes to most people's mind that watches college football is Tim Tebow. Like, yes, it's all about him, right?
Yes. The Pouncey twins.
Yep. Oh, right.
Aaron Hernandez was on this team.
Aaron Hernandez.
Riley Cooper, right? Who got in trouble. He did some stuff that was on camera that wasn't good. But their arrest records from this group, this 6-7 year group of guys, is insane. Led by Urban Meyer, led by Tim Tebow, right? So I think the world has wanted a documentary about this team so badly. So now check out Netflix, right? There's an Untold series. And it's about the Swamp Kings, is what this one's called. 4-part documentary, and you want to talk about being underwhelmed? Fuck, man. They don't dive into any of it.
Really?
It's
So, I mean, because I feel like anybody that watches that's you want the dirt, right?
that's the whole
People,
yeah.
listen, people can sit there and talk about you know, negative press and well, that's horrible that they brought that up or brought this up. Dude, negativity sells, man. You get
Yeah.
a program just like the Hurricanes in the what early 90s. Hurricanes were huge, man. They were dominating everybody, but that team was a team full of convicts, man. It was just a bunch of thugs. Hate to say it,
Yeah.
but they were just straight up street thugs, man. And they were really
Yeah.
good at football. And that's what you know what people can say what they want, but that's what people want to hear, man. They want to hear the dark side of these really successful programs. In Florida, it's intriguing. So I guess I lost sight. I think I knew at one time that Aaron Hernandez was there, but it's fascinating to me that they this team had so many people that were in trouble and had charges. But Aaron Hernandez, man, this is a guy that got convicted of murder. So like the ultimate
Well, with
felony.
him, I don't know that he actually got convicted of it. This is just to put this out there. I think he was awaiting trial. I think he was still awaiting trial when he his life came to an end in prison.
No, I think
Did he
you're
get
wrong.
convicted of it?
I think he
I think he was convicted of one murder and they were getting ready to try him on
there
another.
you
Oh,
go.
is that what it was?
That's what it was. So he was convicted, and then they decided to charge him with one or two more. So he was already hung. He was already done. It's
Yeah.
that's
That's
just
rough.
fascinating to me. But it's even more fascinating to me that you make that documentary and you just step over the part that
That's what
everybody
everybody wanted in the document. And like,
wants.
don't get me wrong, it's pretty good. Like the insights, the way Urban Meyer ran that, it was very
Wow, I haven't seen it. I want to check it out.
militarian. Is that I don't know if that's the right word, but it like the way he ran that program was
So he was just
I
super
mean,
strict. Is that what you're is in?
dude, they like competition, like the weightlifting that those guys did and the mental toughness that he instilled in those guys. And if you weren't down with it, fucking pack your bags, dude. You're gone.
So that brings me to another point. I want to get your opinion on this, Jim, because you're senior to all of us, and so you go back a little bit longer than anybody on the panel. But I want to see how you feel about this, based on what Tyler just mentioned. You have these guys. We call them old school coaches. I think that's typically the name. Old school individuals that just believe in the rod, man. Getting these kids to perform like I'm gonna beat the hell out of you. I'm gonna teach discipline. Nowadays, we live in an era where feelings matter, man. You have to be completely conscious of kids that get their feelings hurt apparently over a couple words, right? So, in your opinion, Jim, does old school philosophy is that doable nowadays? Do you have to tone it down, or are you still able to bring
No,
that, whether it be we're talking about professional sports or college sports? Are you still able to implement your old school philosophies? You tell me.
no, I think you have to really dial it down. Um, I think even as far as language and the way that you use that language, the way you structure your speeches and things like that, you have to change a little bit. On the other hand, you have to spend the time to know each and every kid
Wow.
on that roster, man. And that's the best advice I could give to anybody, young coaches. Get to know each and every kid, what makes them tick. I've had kids where if I lost my shit, we're blowing snot bubbles, crying,
Oh
lose
my
their.
God. What?
Well, and these are younger kids and
I get it.
at the same time, they don't, that's not what they're hearing at home. Okay, that's not what they're surrounded with. So when an adult of authority gets pissed, these kids can lose it. On the other hand,
So how far back are you talking, Jim? When you're talking about these kids you're talking to, they're acting like this. Are we talking a couple years ago, 5 years ago?
I'm
20
talking
years ago,
all the way from the beginning, bud.
20,
All
30
the
years
way
ago.
from the beginning. Yep.
So it's been a while. So you're talking about it's been a long time that it's been where kids can't handle that. Not just recently, but a long time
Well,
ago.
let me be clear. That's a very, very minority.
Okay.
In my experience, it's been that the majority of the kids want to be coached. They want to do well. They want to become a team. With that being said, there's certain kids that maybe their parents are making them play. Okay,
Right.
maybe they're just out there because a couple of their friends are playing and they don't understand the team concept. If in football, you have more people on the field than any other sport. And as a coach, your objective is to get all of those kids, all those guys on the same page. And you
Right.
can see the guys that do and the guys that don't. Again, the kids that would fold kind of under pressure were a very small minority. But then I also had on the other side of the spectrum, you would have guys that you had to literally, and berate is a real strong word, but you had to literally piss them off. I would piss them off at me so they'd get pissed off in the game.
Really? Wow, that's interesting.
Because that's what made them tick.
Right.
I yelled,
So as
I
a coach,
yelled down
so
their damn throat.
so as a coach, it never changes as far as the tactics you use to get the best out of every kid. Uh, Let me ask you, Ty, does your mentality change if you're a successful college coach? Do you have to alter that your approach when you get to the pros, or
I
are you able to bring your college? And the only reason I'm asking is because Urban Meyer coached both in college. He was very successful, but he was a complete failure in the pros. So is that evidence where you need to tweak the way you talk to, these guys are sometimes making a lot more money than head coaches.
A lot more.
So is that do you, in your opinion, just because you were a household name or an Urban Meyer and a Nick Saban in college, that doesn't necessarily translate to doing that in the pros. So what's different? Do you feel like you need to tweak your approach or what?
big I think so. So I think I mean if you watch just the first episode of the Swamp Kings thing and you see how Urban Meyer ran his program in college, fuck no, that's not going to work in the NFL. Dude, I mean, at this point in the NFL, right? Like, could you imagine a 40-plus-year-old Aaron Rodgers going, yeah, dude, I ain't fucking doing that.
Oh my God!
It's,
Right,
and
making $40 million a year. Get the fuck
so,
out of here! Suspend
right,
me.
dude. And so, a thing that just came to light a couple weeks ago, I think, was Eric Bieniemy, right? Offensive
Right.
coordinator for the Chiefs for a long time. He went
Very
to the Washington,
successful.
very,
Yes.
very successful.
Yes.
Hard ass, old school.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So he goes to the Commanders, right? Young team, super young team. And there were reports that there were players going to Ron Rivera that
The head
were
coach.
asked
Who's the head coach?
who's the head coach,
Okay.
asking them, or they were asking Ron, like, hey, will you talk to Eric Bieniemy? Like, he's pretty mean to us.
That is
You want to talk about some pussy shit, though.
right.
Dude, at that point, like, you're also grown men.
Right. Making a lot of
I think
money.
making a lot of fucking money. And if
Right.
I don't know, I mean, I've never been in that position. But you would sure think that, like, if your coach is fucking screaming at you, you're a professional. You've made it, dude. Like, you've made it to the pinnacle.
Right.
You are at the top point whatever percent of people that have ever put a helmet on.
Top 1%, I believe it. It's like
I would bet less than even 1%.
I read something like less than 1% of college athletes make it to the next level, man.
Right. That's what I mean. So guys that have ever put on a helmet and shoulder pads, whatever, like you're at like a decimal of a fucking percent of guys, and you're at the highest of the high. Which is hard because a guy like Eric Bieniemy, dude, he's got the track record, right? You're like, okay, yeah, he's talking shit to me, but he's coached.
He's super successful.
Exactly. So you're like, okay, yes, he knows what he's talking about. So I mean, I think I don't know. It all comes down, I think, to individual players. I mean, guys that want, like you said, Jim, like guys that want to be coached, and guys that maybe go like, hey, don't fucking talk to me like that.
So
if you want me to run the route better, you can come over and talk to me. You fucking scream at me in front of the team though, and like maybe you and me got fucking problems. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, that's super interesting, and I want to get Jim's take on this. You've coached Jim, I have not. Let me ask you. I know you're old school. I think all of us are old school. I'm super old school, and that's probably the reason why I think I would last 2 days in the middle school. Like teaching kids, I'd last 2 days because I can't stand. I'm overly entitlement. This generation coming up think they're owed something. They're not. Hard work, the value of hard work has kind of gone out the window, which is mind blowing to me. All that being said, I don't think I could do it because I don't know that I could. My old school philosophy would constantly be rearing its ugly head, and I don't know that it would translate. But could you do it, Jim? Based on some team in the NFL that said we want you coaching our offensive line or our defensive backs or our offense or defense, like you say, you get a coordinator job, and you're an old school coach. Could you dial it down? Could you come up with a philosophy where you could get to these kids without being, run laps? I mean, could you do
it? When you think about it on a different level, so you're an assistant coach, say you're not a coordinator, you're an area coach. You have got kids that are 20 years old that are making 2-3 times what you're making.
Right.
At least.
First off, that would piss me off enough to probably not want to do it at all.
Right.
Because I'll be damned if a 20-year-old kid, and you got to remember, my age right now, how long I've been on the face of this earth, how long I have been around the game of football or baseball,
a long time.
Of course, maybe
a long time. And
I've got this 20-year-old that's going to tell me how I can and can't coach,
right,
or get the best out of my players. I probably couldn't at that level. I don't think I'd want to, because I think it would turn into fuck it.
I mean, you'd be
here for the money.
So you'd be making great money because league minimum as a coordinator's got to be what, $1.5 million? I mean, you're going to be making.
I bet it's like 500,000.
For really? So you think that there's
I would say like a brand new coordinator, somebody that hasn't exactly established themselves as that guy. Yeah, I would say it's probably less than $1 million.
Okay, so I mean, we can fact check this. Anybody who wants to fact check what we're saying, leave us a comment, subscribe, check us out on YouTube, Cocktails and Curveballs. Follow us. Hit us up on Facebook, on Instagram. Let us know, man. We always get back to our listeners. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think league minimum for a player is like $858,000. That's for riding the pine. If you're on a roster, you're making at least $858,000. I believe that's a true figure. That being said, so do you think that there's coordinators making less than that? I'm not talking defensive backs coach, right? I'm talking
offensive or a defensive coordinator.
Right.
Oh no, I bet they make more than that.
Yeah.
I was thinking like the running backs coach or like.
Okay, so that's probably true. I'm sure that's true.
They might not even have running back coaches in the NFL anymore. The way that's going,
they do.
No, I know. I think they do, but the way the running back, whole thing's going,
it's crazy, right?
They're going to be done with having coaches back there.
So anyways, my point is, Jim, they throw you. It's prestigious, and you're in the NFL. You get to watch every game. You get the signed, the autograph shit is the perks, right? So you mean to tell me, and I respect this if this is what you're saying, but you mean to tell me that all things involved, because we're living in an era where you can't utilize your old school philosophy, and I respect that. Are you saying that you would turn that job down because you can't get in the guy's face and say, you're fucking sitting next game, which I would love to do, right?
Well, but is that yeah, I am saying that, and I'm saying that because you don't necessarily have the power, like even in college, you do, but you don't necessarily have the power to say you're sitting because maybe we just spent a second round draft pick on this fucking guy.
That you
can't Jerry Jones says, no, buddy.
Right?
You're playing. I don't care what your coach
well,
said.
I don't care what problems you have with this kid. He's fucking playing next game.
That's right. And so I just think it sets a bad precedence. And I'll be honest with you guys. I have no idea how these coaches balance that mindset. I mean, you have to walk.
That'd be tough.
You have to walk this line where other guys are welcoming that constructive criticism or whatever. And you've got the prima donnas that, number one, you're lucky if they even listen to you at all.
Jesus Christ, that'd be tough.
It's just a culture thing, right? It's a culture thing.
It is. It absolutely
is. As the head coach, like you have to have so much faith in the owner or owners or whatever to let you go do your job, right? And that's why some of these teams are so good, is because from the top down, right? They hire guys that they think will do a good job so that they don't have to micromanage. I think that's where the biggest thing comes in, is like trying to micromanage all this other bullshit.
So that's interesting. That's an interesting point. So let me ask you, do you think that's a bargaining chip? So like, here's an example. Miami just this offseason went out and hired Vic Fangio. Mm-hmm. And Vic Fangio is predominantly a household name when it comes to defense. He wasn't successful as a head coach, and there's guys that are like that are absolutely fabulous coordinators, but they can't run a team, right?
Yeah,
Vic,
absolutely.
Vic falls in that category. I saw a stat one time, Vic Fangio has never had a defense ranked lower than something like 15, which is amazing because he's been a defensive coordinator a lot in the NFL. So that's pretty ballsy. That being said, you go out and hire a name like Vic Fangio, a guy that could be employed by any team in the NFL, right? Is that a bargaining chip? Is that something where Vic comes in? Does he come in and say, listen, okay, I'll run your defense, but my word is the law. If this kid is sitting, he's sitting. I don't want anybody. Is that something you bargain for, Jim?
Oh, well, yeah. When you become a name like Vic Fangio, you absolutely. That's why they hire you, is to straighten this shit out. So you have way more leeway.
Okay, so you can sit a guy. You think he's got the ability to say you're not playing next game?
I do believe that.
Yeah,
I think that's why a guy like that gets hired.
Right. Okay,
because you trust him to go like, no, we're gonna put our best unit on the field. I'm gonna run it, obviously.
Right.
Because I'm big.
So you can work yourself into a level, to a plateau where you can say, yeah, kid, I don't care how much money you're making, you're fucking riding the pine next game. So that's an interesting point. So Jim, you wouldn't want to take that chance that you could work yourself into a position where you could tell these young kids, I don't care who your fucking daddy is, I don't care who your buddy is.
I don't know, man. How long has it taken Vic Fangio? Some of these guys.
It's taking a while, man. 10 years.
A long time and a lot of luck. Like, don't let that fucking slip away. They're like, A lot of luck, a lot of fucking lucky bounces.
Let's put this where it needs to be. So a coach can coach, but he doesn't get to go out and play, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Can't do anything for you on the field.
Right.
Besides prepare you beforehand and hopefully be in the other coordinators, the opposite coordinators, rear pocket all the time, But the thing that we're not talking about is leadership, veteran leadership.
That's right.
I think
huge.
if you take that into account, and like Ty said, the culture in the team, when somebody comes to that team, you know what to expect. You go to play for Bill Belichick, you know what to expect.
Oh, sure.
So that's one of, just to bring this back full circle to just kind of enclose what we're talking about. That Swamp Kings documentary, for what it lacked, that I felt underwhelmed about it a little bit. That was Urban Meyer's thing. Like, no, I need leaders in this locker room because, as you just said, a coach can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, but somebody's got to fucking walk the walk. Right. And that was something at Florida that Urban Meyer, from this documentary, from what they showed, he had some guys in there that motherfucking walk the walk.
Really?
Like, I mean, absolute animals.
That told
guys.
I mean, give me some.
So a guy that I didn't really know. So Brandon Spikes, right? Like, this guy was a phenomenal linebacker at Florida. His freshman year, he was like a 5-star recruit, right? Gets brought in, doesn't hardly play because he's sitting behind this guy named Brandon Siler, I believe is his name. Siller is his last name.
Heard of that guy.
Don't fucking know the guy, right? But there's all this video like, he was the heartbeat of that team. I think that was 2005, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's 2005. Absolute fucking animal. A unit, dude. I'm talking like,
wow.
The dude was a Mack truck of a linebacker.
Really? I mean, he's good.
He's getting interviewed, and he said, some freshman running back was late. Like, they trained like animals. And he said this kid was late, so they started the whole workout over. They were already in it. They had been working out for a while. Start the whole workout over. They're doing some ab thing, dude. They got their feet up off the ground. Same kid drops his feet. Feet hit the mat. Okay, starting it over again. And this Siler guy tells him, "You drop your feet again, I'm gonna punch you in the face." And he said, kid dropped his feet, and he got up, went over there, and beat the fuck out of him.
Oh my god!
And but I mean, like, you want to talk about veteran leadership? You gotta have guys that will back up what a coach like. That's what a coach wants, is guys to go. If he's got 5 veterans on his team, whatever level that team is at, whether that is high school, whether that's college, whether that's in the NFL, if you don't have leadership in your locker room outside of your coaches, it's all for none anyway. I mean, you could fucking sit up there and talk and talk and talk.
There's that saying that, a team takes on the personality of their coach, and we've seen it so many times.
Mm-hmm.
When Rex Ryan was coaching the Jets, he talked a lot of shit on camera, and the Jets were the most shit-talking team. I mean, they took on the personality of their coach. What I want to ask is, in your opinion, Ty, you see that documentary. We know that doesn't translate to NFL. I mean, you're talking about guys that are making millions of dollars, but in college now, does it still work? What do you think?
I mean, even that's going to start getting dicey, right? If you bring a kid on campus with these NIL deals, that's now he's worth as much or more than the head coach.
Right.
I don't know. I think it's a super slippery slope.
Jim, what do you say? What says you? Can you run that?
I think the whole money thing, honestly, and I've heard it said a lot by different people. I think the whole money thing in colleges is really we're gonna see the demise of the college game.
Really?
We're already seeing parity, but but that's the one reason right there, is that you bring these guys in and they're getting paid whatever their NIL deal, right? And all of a sudden you try to work them a little too hard or whatever. Now they're coming out and talking about it when they get into the NFL about what the culture at such and such college and the coach and this and that. And I don't know, man. Personally, I've never had so much fun than teaching young men how to play football.
You think that's going away? Do you think the joy of that is going away?
I think it is. I think it is. And I think maybe for part of the reason what you said, the entitlement, you have to be in a perfect situation. I've had problems with parents, but when parents see the product on the field and how their children all of a sudden start acting at school and they start acting at home because this is what is expected of them.
Right.
I would get the parents would jump on board and we always called it buying in to the program and the majority of what we do. I'll guarantee you guys, I will promise you this. I will never, ever, and I don't give a shit what level of coaching it is, sacrifice 21 guys for one guy.
That's a great philosophy. There's a lot of people that just don't operate under that mantra. And that leads me into my next segue. I want to ask you guys, pay to play. It's been talked about for a few years now. I don't know. I don't have the education to decipher exactly what the outline would be. But there's been a lot of discussion of paying college athletes. Now, before we dive into this, let me just say that one of the ways, there was a time where marijuana in this country was worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. And the one thing that it has done by legalizing marijuana in some of these states, whether you agree or disagree, what it's done is taken the value out of marijuana, right? So it's not worth millions of dollars anymore because so many states legalize it. It's worth not much more than cigarettes.
Well, and there's growers, there's grow operations everywhere. So the market's flooded.
Everywhere. So when you legalize something like that, the value, it's worth a can of corn. It's worth nothing. So is that, in your opinion, Jim, is that a feasible possibility to start paying these college athletes? Because listen, if anybody believes that these 5-star recruits aren't getting money on the down low, they're out of their mind, man. They are. They absolutely
anymore. It's all good though, right? Like it's all.
The parents are getting houses, to that point, cars.
Dude, should Reggie Bush get his Heisman back?
I feel like he should. I mean, it's happening, man.
What happened. That's what happened with Reggie Bush. So Reggie Bush signed with a company before when he was going into the NFL, got like $300,000, said, I'm not with this company anymore. And they went, well, give us the fucking money back. And he went, no. No. You guys gave me the money. It's my money now.
Right.
I'm going to the NFL. You can't touch me because who gives a fuck? I'm going to the NFL. I'm not a college athlete anymore.
I'm a grown man and I'm making my own money, so piss off.
Basically told them shove it up their ass and I'm taking this money. You're not getting it back. Because they said, well, we'll out you then. How about we out you? And he said, I don't give a fuck. Yeah. I'm going to the NFL.
Do you?
Yeah.
So
that's fuck for $300,000. Reggie Bush doesn't have his Heisman, and I don't know if you guys know this. He got a lot of I don't know if it's all of his stats. He got a lot of them taken off. Like Reggie Bush,
really,
his collegiate stats are fucking gone. So that's a travesty, dude. That is that's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit.
And you know why it's bullshit? Because it does not take away from what he did on the football field.
In today's NIL, what Reggie Bush did in college, motherfucker would be making $10 million a year to be playing at USC.
He was. You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him. So let me ask you this: can we all agree that athletes are getting paid? Maybe not legally, maybe on the D-low, right? But they're getting paid nowadays. We all agree on that, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, so Jim, right, they are. So Jim, can you do it legally? Is there a system in your mind? Is there a situation where you can see these athletes making money legally based on a percentage of maybe how many snaps they play or how important they are to the university? I don't. Again, I'm not. I don't have the education to decipher how you do it. But is there a situation you can see where they legally say, okay, now we're giving these athletes money? Can it happen?
Here's my biggest problem with that is that you are on a full ride, 100% scholarship. Okay.
Absolutely.
Now you're going to get paid because and let's not bullshit anybody. The colleges make a shit ton of money.
Stupid.
And now the playoffs and everything else.
Bowl games, you bet.
Yeah. They make a shit ton of money. Let's not forget, though, that money is spread throughout. Yes, the football program gets, I'm sure, a big majority of it. But that is also spread out throughout the university, throughout the athletic department. My problem with them getting paid on top of a full ride scholarship is that, and this happens every day, somebody with a 3.9 can't get into college on a scholarship because those scholarship, that money's gone.
That's a great
on
point.
On an academic scholarship, they're getting turned away because we're giving it to this guy that's going to literally be here for 3 years, not get a degree, and jump to the NFL.
And that is a fascinating point.
That's a really good point. Yeah. That's a really good point.
That's
especially with the NIL deals, these guys are making enough money that they don't need to be on scholarship, right?
Right. And that's what I'm saying is that you're giving these guys.
That's interesting.
You're giving these guys a chunk of your university, basically,
right?
And then paying them on top of that.
And to be clear, Jim, that person you turned away that's got a 3.9 for, let's just say, the last 6 years, right? That probably deserves to go into like biochemistry or something that's going to make a difference in the world. They're not making the university any money, but that athlete, they can't hit a C average, but can throw the ball 60 yards on a dime. He's going to make a university money. So who's going to get that scholarship? That's a fascinating point, man.
Yeah.
That's really good.
On the other hand, really you have these people that graduate, that become doctors, that become lawyers, that become successful business people and stuff like that, that become part of your alumni association.
And now, right, the guys that you want them to donate money.
Yeah.
Right.
And you want them to donate.
That's a small percentage too, right? I mean, that's about as small as a percentage as the people making it to the next level in sports. Am I right?
Well, let me put it to you another way. These guys get on there for Sunday Night Football. I think it's Sunday Night Football where they all say where they're from and their colleges and stuff, right? How many of them say their colleges anymore?
Well,
they're all from the street university, or they're from fucking whatever middle school.
Middle school.
Yeah, I'm from, but born and raised in Pennsylvania. Like they don't even shout out their university anymore, right?
So who is actually more grateful to that university? I mean, listen, you're a 5-star recruit, 4-star recruit. You go to Alabama, you go to Georgia, you go to Ohio State, and your path is already predisposed, right? You already know where you're going.
Sure.
All right. The only thing you can hope for is you stay healthy. You do stay out of trouble, and you're going to find your way onto an NFL roster. Chances are,
even as a backup.
Yeah. Practice squad, you're going to get a tryout.
Whatever.
Yeah, practice squad. Practice squad. That's 858. Am I right? I mean,
you're going to get the tryout.
I don't think it's that much, bud. I don't think practice squad is. I think a 53-man roster is where the league minimum starts.
Okay.
But practice squad's still making more money than
it's got to be $500,000.
Anybody swinging a hammer.
Right?
That's
500.
Right. Well,
I mean,
even
couple hundred grand.
Say it's even a couple $100,000. Shit.
Yeah, for a practice squad. Jesus.
Practice squad, I mean, but anyway, and so who is more grateful to that university, because quite frankly, this 4 or 5-star athlete could have went to any university.
Any university.
Yeah. That's
And
really hard.
who's more
That's really hard
grateful?
because the little guy gets fucked all the time, right? So
All the time, man.
the person that does go on an academic scholarship and goes on to do something great, right?
Yeah,
to do something like we love first responders, right? We love our military.
Yeah.
But guess what? Like, doctors are fucking important too.
Right.
You know,
man.
Doctors, nurses, whatever it is that they go to these
Engineers,
universities on and didn't have a pot to piss in, right? Didn't have a pot to piss in and went, I'm gonna work my ass off, I'm gonna get the best grades, I'm gonna do everything I need to do to get an academic scholarship, and then go, oh well, the money's actually dried up because this guy's gonna make $7 million on an NIL deal, and also he's on scholarship here. So
and majoring in basket weaving,
and
right?
majoring in nothing.
Right.
Because he's going to redshirt, play 2 years. Yeah, because he's going to redshirt, play 2 years, and then bounce. And who gives a fuck after that?
So you don't believe there's a situation where it can feasibly work, Jim? That's what I'm getting. Ty, do you think there's a situation where they can pay to play? Where these to me it'd be really tough because these smaller colleges, they're not going to be able to afford what Alabamas and Georgias
we're not gonna see Cinderella stories.
Right. You're not at all.
Yeah,
at all.
If the college football playoff is going to get to 16 teams, there's going to be 4 major conferences with I mean, fuck, you're looking at 80 teams in these 4 conferences, probably, right? And the best 6, something like that, right? Like that. I mean, I'm just kind of throwing numbers out. Less than 100 teams. Only 20 of those teams guys are going to go make money at this point. Those guys, like the top 20 teams that can afford to put the best roster out there, are going to be the best teams year in and year out, because
it'd be kind of like
there's no guarantee you're going to go to the NFL. So make your money while you can, dude. I mean, like, and I am not knocking anybody for that, right? Because anybody getting their money is good on you.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a 16-team playoff, dude. We're not going to see UCF. You know, we're not going to see Cincinnati. We're not going to see these teams. We're going to see the 16 rosters or whatever, you know, with the highest payroll. Like, don't shit yourself about that. We're not going to see little guys being the Cinderella story. It's not going to happen. Right. But then so where do you go from there? If that's, I mean, if you think otherwise, you're fucking kidding yourself. Kidding yourself. So where do you go from there? Is it just minor league football?
It kind of is. You know, it's kind of like, I look at it like Pandora's box, man. Like, you can open it. Once you open that fucking, once you cross,
ever going back.
Well, it's not only not going back, but how do you, like, you can't close that box, man. So now you're in it.
The money is never, you can't take it away now.
Well, I almost feel like you're going to need.
You can't take it away from the kids now.
Yeah, you're going to need you're going to need so many different levels of like, Utah's not going to be in the same conference anymore with Alabama. How can you? Utah doesn't have the money Alabama does. There's no way. So I don't know what the answer is, but it's going on. It's going on the D-Lo. You get caught. You get.
I don't even think it's on the D-Lo anymore, dude.
Well, I think it is, because you still have universities getting suspended from tournament play for 3 years, depending on the violation. So it is.
I think that shit's going to be. I mean, we're not far off. The way that the college landscape has changed in the last just couple years,
right?
You give it 5 more years, and we're going to be watching minor league football. That's so. Plain and simple.
This could be and I think that's where we're already at, Ty. When you think about the top 5, top 10 in college football right now, I think I think that's exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about minor league professional,
like a farm system. I mean, might as well be, right?
Yeah. But here's my cure to all this, you guys, and this is going to be probably pretty unpopular. but too bad. I say draft them out of high school.
Wow.
I say go back to
So bypass college altogether.
Why do they even have to go to college if they're just going there to get paid anyway?
Yeah, right. So that's like the NBA, right? They have the G League.
Right. Yeah.
How many got Wimbayama?
Yeah.
Right? Like he went, nah, dude, I'm gonna go play in the G League and fucking get paid.
Right.
Right. And not just him. I don't know that much about basketball, but like numerous guys. In the first round of this draft, how many guys came out of the G League? They didn't even go to college.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so is that the way that football, is that maybe is that the XFL or the fucking USFL? Is that their best move to go come play for us? You don't have to go to college.
You don't have to go to college.
Fuck any other of that bullshit, NIL deals, anything that's going to get you in trouble. Is that what they do? They just go, dude, just come here. Come here. We'll just pay you. We'll just sign you to a contract. You can do whatever you want to do on the making money on the side stuff with advertisements or whoever, is that's what the XFL should do, is go, we're going to take these guys. We're going to take these guys that we aren't, like, not everybody pans out, right? Not everybody that is a 5-star gonna be the next best thing. They don't always pan out, but why would you not take chances on them?
Right.
If you're trying to compete with the NFL in a sense, dude, sign them.
Well, I think
if you're that good, though, I mean, right out of high school, if you're that good and you want to take that chance, you don't get the nice little bubble of a college where you're there for free, you get paid and everything else. You know what I'm saying? You don't have your housing, you don't have shit. If you're that good and you think that go straight to the pros. Now you have your own house to pay for. Now you have your own food to pay for. Now you have to use that money to fucking pay.
But you know what, though? You know what that reminds me of? I mean, I'm not saying that's not a great idea because it's as good as paying athletes to play for your university. I think of that kind of like there's a what they call, I believe I might have my terminology wrong, but it's like a super train over in other countries. I think there's one in Japan. I think maybe there's one in China. I mean, these trains go 200-300 miles an hour. And there's never been one documented malfunction of these things. Like, they don't crash. You jump on one of these trains, and in an hour you're on the other side of the country. And I feel like, and a lot of people, the articles I've read, they'll never come to the United States because the airlines would never allow it, man. I mean, it would be the end of the airlines. I mean, it would put the airlines out of business, where you got to go up, you got to taxi, you got to come back down. There's plane crashes.
You got to sit in the airport. You got to wait.
It would eliminate all of that. You wouldn't even go to the airport anymore. So a lot of people believe it's political. It'll never come here because the airlines are just a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? I feel like what you're saying is the same thing but different. Universities would shit a fruit salad. Are you kidding me? The money that these universities would miss out on in their bowl games and the marketability of these athletes making just millions. I mean, these universities are just getting paid by recruiting some of these athletes. So in that sense, money is the root of all evils, and money runs everything. So I don't know. I don't know how feasible that is. The university would never allow it. Right?
Well, it already isn't. It already isn't feasible, and that's one of the biggest reasons why. Why did they go to? Oh, it has to be 3 years now.
Right.
3 years out of high school. Why did they go to that when they went from, okay, well, you don't have to go to college, and that was a very short time, to 1 year, now 3 years.
Right.
Okay.
Just to bring it back to the NBA thing, though, right? Like, they went, yeah, we'll take you out of high school, and then went, hey, maybe that's not our best thing. let's make the G League.
Right. It's about money.
And they went and in the NBA now they go, okay, you just have to be 1 year out of high school.
Right.
But come to our league.
Yeah.
When you're out of high school, that does not mean college. That, just so everybody knows, that does not mean you have to go to college. You just have to be out of high school for a year. So do whatever the fuck you want to do in that time.
It's all about money.
That's crazy, right? That's crazy. That would be fucking wild.
Well, it's okay. We'll allow it, but if we allow it, you got to be making money for us.
Yeah, that's what the NBA did.
Right.
You can make money for us.
Yeah, but we don't want you. That's the only way you can do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we ran a little. We're kind of running a little bit long on this episode, which is fine. But I think we had really good discussion today. Really quickly, anybody got big plans for Labor Day? Anybody going anywhere, doing anything, or just going to be backyard barbecue? Jim?
Yeah, I think we're just going to stay around. Usually you plan before Labor Day or after Labor Day. Labor Day seems to be kind of amateur hour out in the woods or at the lake or whatever else. So no, probably just stay around and backyard barbecue, drink a bunch of Coors Light.
Absolutely. Ty, what about you, man?
Same thing, dude. Labor Day is the end of summer, man. So
I know it. I know
that's everybody. That's everybody's last hurrah with the boats and the water and swim trunks and the whole deal. And I stay away from it, man. I like to do the backyard barbecue. I got a long weekend. I got a long weekend. So I'll be around to work and fuck, man. That's about it.
So where I work at Best Oil of Sheridan. I deliver fuel as a fuel truck driver, and because of that, I have access to. We always run into a lot of Hutterites, kind of like the Amish, and so we always they're always trading goods and crops and different stuff with us for fuel. I mean, believe it or not, they do that. So we always get fresh corn. Still in the husk from them, and so in the last couple of weeks I've had access to fresh corn, beautiful corn, cobs of corn, it's still in the husk. And what I've been doing, I'm sure there's people out there probably have a better process than me. Maybe you guys do as well. But what I do is I peel the corn husks, and I've got a basting brush. And I just take butter and just baste it. Coat the corn on the cob. Really well, and I place it on a piece of tin foil, and I sprinkle lemon and pepper all over the, roll it around and sprinkle lemon and pepper, and I wrap that up in tin foil and put it on the grill. And good God, man, I can eat 15 of those. I mean, it's so good. And actually, so I brought home 7 the other day, and I made all 7 up, and Caden ate 3 of them, and Colton, my other boy, had 4 of them. I didn't get 1 ear, man. I'm like, are you kidding me, man? I mean,
we look as a crew like we eat a lot of corn.
I mean, I'm just saying, a little bit of lemon and pepper on a buttered cob of corn. Good Lord, man. I mean, a corn cob pipe? Is that made from corn cob? I feel like it is.
At one time.
I feel like it is because
so you eat all the corn or whatever. You get all the corn off it, and you just use the cob.
But I feel like it's a process, though. I think you got to dry that out, and there's probably it's got to be done by somebody way smarter than me. I can promise you that.
I couldn't do it, probably.
I couldn't do it. There's no way I could do it.
Could I make a pipe out of a piece of corn, a near corn? Yeah. Could I make a corn cob pipe? Probably not.
I feel like I can make a pipe out of this can, but I'm not even going to talk about that on this show. That's probably, probably age appropriate. Maybe I shouldn't even have brought that shit up. Anyways, let's hit the curtain calls. Ty, what do you got for us?
Yeah, dude, I got one. So, where I think the UFC and mixed martial arts and boxing, all of it, I think they're missing out in the United States big time, is this window that we're in right now.
Sure.
Yeah. Kind of slow with baseball and football. Obviously, no NBA. The whole thing, I think this should be their time to shine. They should be having their best pay-per-views of the year all throughout the summer. in my opinion. So I didn't realize until it was already happening that they were just in Singapore this past weekend. Max Holloway against the Korean Zombie. I don't even know his real name. He's been the Korean Zombie to me as long as I've ever seen this dude fight. It was a brawl, as you would imagine. Korean Zombie hangs it up in Singapore, which is, I don't think Singapore's in Korea, but it's in Asia. Fact check me on that. And so yeah, my curtain call goes out to the Korean Zombie, man. A guy that went out there, I mean, brawler. An absolute brawler. Absolute brawler.
Fought anybody.
Yeah, he hung him up, man. He hung him up against, and his last fight was Max Holloway, who, again, another guy that goes out there, bangs every fight, and a guy like that, a guy like the Korean Zombie, who was, I mean, he's been beating people up since he was in like the WEC. It's been a long time. And what he did for MMA in Asia, especially.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I that guy, he definitely deserves a cheers, man. So
absolutely,
so that's that.
Cheers to him, man. Okay, had a good career. Jim, how about you?
Well, on the same lines, I'm going to go with Steven Strasberg. Strasberg is retiring this week.
That's a good one.
That's my 1A. Steven Strasberg, we all know about him. He was absolute phenom in college. Came out of college and right to the majors. I think he was. I don't even think he made it to September to get called up. I think he was like
for opening day, right?
Yeah.
He pitched his college season, and then they went like, "Hey, dude, does your arm feel good? Come on up."
Here's the thing. It's amazing to have a guy that young have one plus pitch, right? I mean, a lot of pitchers just have decent pitches, or maybe they have got one decent pitch. He had a neck breaking fastball and a ridiculous curve, man. That 12-6 curveball. And the thing about that is, anybody that follows baseball, you throw a 12-6 curveball in the meat of the zone and then come back with a 100-mile fastball. That 100-mile-an-hour fastball looks like it's 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And just pinpoint that Steven Strasberg is had an amazing career, man. He's really good. Yeah.
35 years old. My 1B also retiring this week, Miles Jack.
Yeah.
I have a kind of a special place. Miles Jack played football in the state of Washington, played college football, went to UCLA, but he played for an unbelievable program in the state of Washington. So kind of followed him from the time he was 17, 18 years old. Yeah. And at 27 years old, I believe he is right now, 27 years old, he's hanging him up too. So
good for him.
My curtain call goes to Steven Strasberg, 1A, 1B, Miles Jack.
Yeah. Wow. Miles Jack, dude, that's a good one. Same thing, because he played running back and linebacker at UCLA. I know that was
I mean, how nice is that? 27 years old, being retired. Yeah, I can do that. That'd be nice, man. Enjoy the better parts of life. So my curtain call goes to no other than Denzel Washington, man. That's right. King Kong ain't got shit on me. Anybody who has not seen the Equalizer 1 and 2, get your ass to Netflix, or I believe it's on Hulu. Go see Equalizer 1 and 2 before you see Equalizer 3. Equalizer 3 comes out September 1st. I am taking my girlfriend to go see that. We're going to have popcorn and we're going to have goodies, and that is going to be off the chain, because I'm going to tell you something. If it's, Equalizer 1 and 2, I've seen them, a long time ago when they came out, and just maybe 3 weeks ago, I sat down, didn't have just figuring out something to watch on the old Fire Stick. So I pulled up Equalizer 1. The next night I watched Equalizer 2, and I sat back and thought, I forgot how good those movies are, man. Just, that old slogan, movies for guys who like movies? That's Equalizer 1 and 2. God, good flicks, man. So Equalizer 3 is coming out the 1st of September. Bless Denzel's heart for making another one. I'm sure it's going to be off the hook. I can't wait to see it. So good on him for making another film, man. So that's our show today. I think we had some really good discussion. Anybody who's watching us or sees this show, anybody that you feel like should be tuning in to the things we do. We still got our fantasy football league coming up. We're getting closer to that. We want to do our 5 for 5 for our fifth listener.
He's in, and he's in.
Good. That's good news. But check us out on YouTube. Like, subscribe, follow. You can check us out on Instagram and Facebook, Cocktails and Curveballs. So we look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thanks for joining us. Cheers to all of our listeners.
Cheers. Man.